this meeting to order. Roll call.
Vice Chair Moser,
Here.
Board Member DeBerard,
Here.
Board Member James,
Here.
Board Member Laughlin,
Here.
Board Member Manera,
Here.
Board Member McChrystal,
Here.
and Board Member Whalen.
Here.
Let's stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America,
and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, what is next? Okay, next we've got the advisory board member oath.
Thank you, Suzanne.
Thank you. For the record, City Attorney Lee Baggett and the Deputy Clerk is passing out the written oath so that you guys can all follow along. If everybody will stand and raise the right hand. And if you'll repeat after me. I, and state your name, am qualified under the Constitution, laws of Florida, and the Code of Ordinances for the City of Stuart, Florida,
I'm qualified under the Constitution,
Laws of
Florida, and the code of the city of Stuart,
to serve as a member of the Community Redevelopment Board,
to serve as a member of the Community Redevelopment Board,
and that I will well and faithfully perform
and I will well and faithfully perform
the duties of an advisory board member
the duties of an advisory board member,
on which I am about to enter, so help me God.
which I'm about to enter, so help me God.
Thank you. And then before y'all leave today, each of you will need to sign the oath and provide it back to the deputy clerk.
Okay, so next on our agenda is the board reorganization and the selection of chair and vice chair. But before we get started with that, I thought it would be nice for us to just start maybe with Frank and go down just with a brief introduction of, you know, who you are and why you want to serve.
Yeah, Frank McChrystal, been in Martin County since '73. City of Stuart, I don't know how long, twice on my second stint. I'm retired or somewhat, and too much time on my hands, and here I am.
Hi, my name is Frederick James. I serve as the pastor of St. Paul African Methodist Episcopal Church in the beautiful city of East Stuart. I served last year. I learned a lot of the city and how the city works, and I wanted to be a valuable part. That's why I continue to serve.
Thank you.
Will Laughlin, and I've been in Stuart since 1993. And I just like the way Stuart lives. I like the small town feel, so that's kind of why I serve.
Okay. My name is Bonnie Moser. I'm a 7th generation Floridian. I grew up on the west side of Lake Okeechobee. Only been in Stuart for about 5 years, but I said I was going to live here since I was a little kid. Really? I'm an urban designer. I don't work in Martin County at all, but I just have a great interest in making public spaces and streets better places for the people that live here. So that's why I serve.
My name's Scott Whalen. This is my second time, like James, still learning. I've been here for 5 years in Stuart. I moved from North Carolina. I was in law enforcement prior to that. I have my own private investigative firm. I love the city of Stuart, and I think it's a great place to live and raise a family.
And I'm Jeff Manera. Was served last year like a number of us did, and happy to be back. I've been in and out of Stuart since the early 80s, but have lived here during that period of time about a total of, between Stuart and Palm City, about 12, 13 years.
Hi, everybody. Phil DeBerard. Lived here my whole life. I have worked in Stuart my entire professional career. Recently purchased an office on East Ocean. So planted the flag there, and glad to be aboard.
Awesome. Thank you, everyone. Okay, so let's see how I do this. And I apologize for my meeting running skills. This is not something that I am used to or know what I'm doing.
Vice Chair Moser, you want me to introduce this? Or?
That would be great.
Okay, all
yes.
So each year, you guys need to appoint a chair and a vice chair. So we prefer that you do it separately by two different motions. So for some newer folks, and I guess we only have one new, but you obviously, someone make a motion. We can start with the chair or vice chair. It's up to y'all. And then do a second motion for the other position, the way we prefer it. Keep it separate.
Okay. So that's not me that makes the motion, it's someone else?
Yeah, correct. You're actually the chair,
Right, so
acting chair currently, so
okay,
you wouldn't be able to. Someone else would need to do the motion.
okay.
Madam Chair, I, Frederick James, would like to make a motion that we start with the chairman of the board.
Okay, let's do it. Do we have any nominations for chair for the board?
You watching my light here?
Oh, I'm sorry, Frank. I thought you were just going to speak up. Frank,
I'd like to make a motion for the fair and wonderful Bonnie Moser to be chairman of this board.
I second the motion.
how do I say no? Do I just say no?
And you just accept,
Can
Rachel.
you say no?
Well, I mean, we have a motion and a second, so it needs to go to the floor. But if you want to decline that,
Okay,
you know,
I would like to decline. I don't really think running a meeting is my skill set. So if there's any other,
I nominate Frank McChrystal.
I'll second that.
okay, we have a motion and a second.
He's shocked.
Do we take a one-by-one vote, or do we?
you could do it. You could do it all in favor for this particular
Okay.
motion,
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
and then ask if any
All
opposed.
opposed, or any opposed? Okay, can Frank take over now?
Yes, he could.
Okay,
You could pass the gavel.
here you are, Frank. Come on down.
Have to switch.
Yes, I can.
I need more than that.
And while we're switching it, again, we're going to need a motion for the vice chair. And the vice chair would act anytime that the chair is out or not available, that the vice chair would run the meeting. And in this case, the last year's chair, the vice is not here, and so the vice chair held this meeting initially.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to nominate Sister Bonnie here for vice chair.
I'll second that motion.
I'm good with that one.
Can't get away from all of them.
So Chair McChrystal, you'll need to say that there was a motion to nominate.
There's a motion to nominate Bonnie Moser as vice
Vice
Not
chair.
my motion.
And a
vice
second.
chair. Any seconds?
It
We
was
have a
seconded.
second.
How about a third? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes unanimously.
Wow, this is like Chinese fire drill. Here we go. I like to be on the outskirts of town.
Oh, my gosh. No, I got it, thank you.
Good.
Just bringing too much stuff.
Well, I must say, life truly is like a box of chocolates. I woke up so innocently this morning.
You've seen this on
All right.
Can I take this from you?
That's okay. I'd like to request a motion to approve the minutes.
We need to do the agenda first, Chair McChrystal.
Approval, I'd like to make a motion to approve the agenda.
So moved?
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes unanimously. Any public comment today?
I think
We have the
to approve
minutes.
minutes now.
Yeah, you skipped over the minutes. We do need to go back to the minutes.
Told you this wasn't going to go well. Hold on a second. So we approved the agenda.
I think here,
We already asked for public agenda, for public comment?
That's after the,
This one's a little different than that one.
Approval of the minute.
Do you have an agenda?
I'm reading the wrong thing here. All right. Approval of the minutes? Is that where we're at?
Yes.
And then I'm going to go back to approval agenda?
No, it's already been done.
Motion to approve the minutes.
I'll second the motion.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Now, any public comments?
Chair, I have no public comment.
All right. Comments by board members. Let's start over with Mr. DeBerard and work this way.
No
All right. No comments?
No comment.
Bonnie?
Just a brief one. I can't remember if it was late November or early December, but a pedestrian child was hit on MLK in the crosswalk by a driver. And just want to make the comment, I think maybe we should take a good hard look at the plans for that project and make sure that, you know, we're making it as safe as possible for the kids going to the middle school and the Boys and Girls Club.
Mr. Laughlin?
No comments.
No comment.
No comment.
All right. And my comment would simply be that this board move forward recognizing the amount of money that's going to be coming in and out of here, and that we consider approving projects that benefit the entire city and have us do a good job of distinguishing between real value for the citizens and fluff. And that's my comment. Action items, yes? Agenda item number 1 is presentation of the Stuart Community Redevelopment Area, history, TIF revenue, budget, and projects.
Good afternoon. Panal
Go,
Gandhi
Panal.
Sata,
There we go.
CRA.
Thank you, Panal.
Thank you. CRA Director for the record, congratulations, Frank McChrystal and Bonnie Moser for being nominated and assigned the seat. I'm going to give a brief presentation on the CRA history, TIF revenue, CRA budget, and all the program and projects that we're working on in the CRA. Some of this might be a repeat for some of you. We do have a new member. It might be just an education for some of the board members, but I think it's important to start the year with all the information that we have in the CRA. We have 2 staff members in the CRA. I primarily oversee all the capital improvement projects within the CRA. Jordan Pigston, who is also here in this room, she administers the CRA programs and assists the CRA with the day-to-day activities. CRA is defined by an area. We carry out redevelopment activities to reduce any slum and blight conditions. We want to improve the economy of the CRA by using the tax increment financing to reinvest back into the CRA. It's a long 30-year commitment. The CRA was reestablished in 1998. And so the CRA was going to sunset in 2019, but we did a 30-year extension. So now the CRA will sunset in 2049. So we have until 2049 to implement the programs and projects that we have identified in the CRA plan. Here are some of the maps that shows that the CRA was originally created in 1986. And it was, we did a finding of necessity study, and we presented that to the board. It identified that this area, the original area, met the Florida statute requirements for slum and blight. And at that time, the commission approved the area compliance with the Florida statute requirements. Although we didn't create the trust fund until 1999, like I mentioned, But in 1989, what we did do is have Dwani come to the city and help us develop the urban codes. This helped to establish our urban neighborhoods, introduce on-street parking and streetscape improvements for pedestrian within the urban area. And then 1998, like I mentioned, we reestablished the CRA. We created the trust fund. Now we had the funding to actually reinvest back into the community. Originally, we had the urban area. Then we expanded, which is the green area that you see on the map. Then we expanded the CRA in 2002 to include the East Stewart area. We expanded in 2006 to include the public safety building on MLK, which is just one parcel that you see in blue. And then in 2015, we extended further, which is the pink area that you see on the map. So each time the CRA boundary was expanded, we had to do the finding of necessity to determine that the area did meet the slum and blight definition for the Florida statutes. Today, the CRA encompasses a total of 866 acres of contiguous land, which is almost 22% of the city. We have a CRA plan, which was originally created in 1998. We've amended that plan several times since then. This plan identifies the projects and programs to be funded with the tax increment revenue. This is kind of like our Bible, where we refer to whenever we want to implement any programs and projects. We want to make sure that we comply with the CRA plan. We do amend it from time to time, like I said, depending on the economic conditions and if the board wants to add new programs or projects within the CRA. So ultimately, this board is responsible for implementing the CRA plan. You can find the CRA plan on the CRA website. You can come see me. I'll be happy to sit down with you and go through the plan. The board is responsible to encourage public and private investment, improve infrastructure, create a vibrant CRA. So we want to identify programs and projects that will create that. How does the TIF work? So when the CRA and the TIF trust fund is created, the property appraiser freezes the value of the property in the CRA at its current level, which is known as the base value. Here you can see, like I mentioned, we had the original CRA, then we expanded in 2002, 2006, and 2015. So you can see that we had the base value for each individual areas in 1998, 2002, 2006, and 2015, and then the value for 2025. So what we do is the second row shows the property value in 2025. The difference between the two is the increment property value. And then increases in property tax above the base year is the tax increment fund that is deposited into trust fund, which is what we use to implement the programs and projects within the CRA. This chart here shows the tax increment financing that's deposited into trust fund over the years. As I mentioned earlier, it was established in 1998, so we didn't really start collecting TIF revenue until 1999. Which was about $43,000, and then we gradually increased until 2007, and then you can see that we had a little dip when the market crashed in 2008, and then we started to increase after 2014. You do see a significant increase in tax revenue in the recent years because of all the development and redevelopment activities, but we can expect that to be stabilized since a lot of that stuff has slowed down. The CRA has invested TIF in, TIF again, I might just say TIF, it's tax increment financing, in short, TIF. We've invested TIF in land purchases, infrastructure, or capital improvements and programs. Some of the properties that we've purchased over the years are the North Point property, which is just north of the old drawbridge. It's a vacant site. It has a potential for redevelopment. Dockside property, which is the waterfront restaurant next door to us. Triangle property, which is the Azul multifamily development across the track. And then next to the Wells Fargo building, which is the vacant parcel where we had the plaza, but it was recently demolished, the 325 Southeast Ocean Boulevard and 330 Southeast Osceola Boulevard. And most recently, we purchased the Willie Gary property with the grant that we received, and that's currently in construction. Some of the infrastructure projects that we've completed over the years are the Kiwanis Park parking lot. I'm not going to go through all of them, just to name a few: redesign of MLK Boulevard with parking and streetscaping, floating dock, MLK Boulevard and Dixie Highway intersection improvements, East Stewart welcome sign. We've contributed to the public safety complex building on MLK, a Riverwalk shade structure. Some of the recent projects were the Colorado Avenue, the Complete Street project, downtown streetscape improvements, which was done 4 or 5 years ago, and then Fraser Crescent sewer improvements and neighborhood improvements, where we did some streetscape improvements, Kindred Johnson streetscape improvements, green bike lanes on Colorado. We've partnered with Habitat for Humanity to do some homes in East Stewart, Federal Highway median improvements, Riverwalk handrail replacement, Shepherd Park improvements. All of these are in our CRA plan, so if you need to reference some of the projects we've done, you can refer to the CRA plan. Some of the programs that we've initiated in the CRA are the bike rack program. We have the microtransit system, real estate development accelerator program, wayfinding signage program, mural matching program, residential facade improvement program, street tree program, mosaic artwork on sidewalk. We've received grants to do the housing rehab program and neighborhood revitalization program, where we partner with Habitat for Humanity to do Brush with Kindness, in partnership with Main Street to do a lot of the downtown activities and events. Some of the master plans we've completed over the years are the East Stewart Charrette, which was in 2002, and then we recently updated that in 2023. Downtown parking study, Triangle District Master Plan, form-based code for East Stewart and Creek District, and we're still working on the East Stewart National Register designation. Since we have some new members, our fiscal year 2026 budget, the base value for the CRA was $299 million based on the 4 areas that I mentioned earlier. And the current taxable value for the city is $940 million. For the CRA is $940 million. And this gives us an increment value of $641 million. So that means the payment to the CRA from the general funds with the 4.9 millage is $2.9 million. And the contribution from the county to the CRA is $4 million. For a total of tax increment contribution of $6.9 million to the CRA Trust Fund for 2026. This chart here shows a breakdown of CRA revenue from all the different sources. Like I mentioned, the county's TIF contribution of $4 million, city's contribution from general fund is $2.9 million, and other sources include revenue from grants, which is $12.9 million, interest revenue of $35,000, wayfinding signage revenue, $2,700, and then we had to take some funding from fund balance of $488,000 to balance this year's budget of $20.5 million. So we budget that $20.5 million for various activities and different categories, which is operating expenses, personal services, which is salaries and benefits to the 2 staff members in the CRA, professional services for planning and design of projects, grants for incentive programs like BURP, Business Improvement Reimbursement Program, mural matching grant program, and we also fund other programs like the tram service. We have FEC leases, various maintenance projects in downtown. But most of our funding, 88% of our funding, is for infrastructure projects. I'm just going to briefly go through some of the programs and projects that we're working on. The Business Improvement Program, which we refer to as BURP, it's for exterior improvements to commercial properties. This is a matching grant. We reimburse 50% of the total project cost, up to $10,000. That program, usually we advertise during the new fiscal year when the budget is approved in October, and deadline is usually March, and we bring those applications to the board to review and approve. Last year, we created a commercial landscape improvement grant program to encourage some of the commercial properties to bring their landscaping up to code, and also provide some shade trees along the perimeter of the property to make it more comfortable for pedestrians to walk. We've received one application. This is on first-come, first-served basis. We pay up to $5,000 to the applicant under this program. They are required to provide irrigation system as part of this program, and we rolled out this program back in January 2025. So we still need to promote this program more and try to get more applications. We have a mural matching grant program to encourage murals in the CRA. This is also a matching program where we reimburse 50% of the total project cost, up to $3,000. The Residential Facade Improvement Grant Program, it's an incentive program to do minor exterior improvements to residential properties. We pay 50% of the total cost, up to $500, and additional $500 for exterior paint. So a resident can get up to $1,000 for improvements to their property. We're also pursuing designation of East Stuart neighborhood on the National Register of Historic District. This is in progress right now. We hope to have a neighborhood meeting in February or March. The state would have to come here and hold that meeting as part of the review process. Once they review it and they have their meeting back in state, they would give a formal designation to the East Stuart as a National Register of Historic District. We launched another program called AIRS Property Assistance Program to help clear titles to the property, so the property owners can take advantage of property rights. This program, we pay up to $3,000 per probate, not to exceed $9,000 per property. We do have one application right now that we're working with. We have a probate attorney that helps us with this program. The CRA contributed about $1 million of TIF revenue for the construction of the outdoor amphitheater at the Memorial Park. This improvement will include covered stage area, lawn seating, landscaping, lighting, and other park amenities. The total project cost is $2.7 million. Most of the funding is coming from ARPA grant funding, and Public Works and Utilities and Engineering Department are the lead on this project, but it is partially funded through the CRA. The CRA also provides funding for the operation of the tram system. We also have advertising panels on top of those trams that generates some revenue, up to $4,000 to $5,000 a year. We recently wrapped the trams with brighter colors to give more visibility and promote ridership. The streetscape, downtown undergrounding and streetscape project, that's currently underway. We contracted with Burkhardt to construct that project. It's about $8.7 million. The construction is expected, the Seminole Streetscape is already open, but the completion of the undergrounding is expected to be completed by November 2026. The Riverside Park Neighborhood Improvement Project, which is just north of the drawbridge, and this is a mixed-use neighborhood. The total project for this, the total project cost for this project was $2.5 million. We did receive TAP grant for this project of $1.5 million. The construction began in August 2024, and it was just recently completed in November 2025. the MLK streetscape, as Bonnie mentioned, we are in the design phase. We completed 30% design for the project. The project limit is from Dixie Highway to Tarpon Avenue, and then we're going to complete the sidewalk improvements on the north side of MLK Boulevard between Tarpon Avenue and Palm Beach Road to have that pedestrian connectivity. The project includes 10-foot sidewalk on both sides of the street, on-street parking, crosswalks, mid-block plaza area, streetlights, traffic calming, address some of the safety concerns at these intersections because there is a visibility issue, and landscaping. We are currently working towards 60% design, but I did want to apply for a grant for this project because this is going to be about $6 to $7 million project. So I'm taking authorization to apply for this grant to the City Commission next week. It's the BUILD grant, federal BUILD grant. So once I have that authority to apply, we'll apply for this project. And depending on if we get awarded, we'll determine the timeline of this project. In October 2024, we amended the scope of the Guy Davis Park project to include the skate park. That was something that was directed by the City Commission. The Guy Davis Park improvements is 90% complete. The scope of the work includes multi-purpose sport field, skate park, linear trail, picnic area, shaded pavilion areas, multi-purpose stage areas, flexible lawn area, and fitness trail loop with exercise equipment, playground with aquatic play equipment, concession, restroom, storage building, monument signage, parking area, landscaping, and public art. So it's basically going to be a whole new park. We anticipate to finalize the plans by summer of 2026 and start construction, go out for bid and start construction hopefully by fall 2026. This is budgeted for $10 million, and it is in the 2026 budget, and $700,000 for the skate park, so a total of $10.7 million for this project. We've also been working on the Gateway and District signage program since 2021. We went through multiple design concepts and surveys to get feedback from the community, and every time we went out for survey or feedback, the community always selected this wave-themed concept that you see in the CRA. Last year, we completed the first phase of the project for the downtown Gateway and District signage. The second phase includes a horizontal monument sign, which is going to be at the entry points into Stuart. That's currently in fabrication phase and is scheduled to be installed probably by summer 2026. Dixie Highway Streetscape Improvement Project is from Joan Jefferson to Colorado Avenue. The project consists of reducing the existing travel lane widths, improved sidewalk, crosswalks, streetlights, and landscaping. We were approved for TAP grant for this project, so we have to align with the grant agreement for the construction of this project. We received about $436,000 of grant. We're working on the final plans right now and meeting all the grant deliverables, which we expect to complete in 2026 and anticipate to go in construction in 2027. Last year, we completed wrapping of 11 traffic control boxes within the CRA, and we also received the CDBG Housing Rehab Grant of $750,000 to preserve some of our old housing stocks within the CRA. Through this program, we've assisted 9 property owners, and 7 of them are completed. 1 is in construction, and 1 is still pending. We received $10.2 million in CDBG COVID grant for the acquisition, demolition, and new construction for a job training center at 710 Southeast MLK Boulevard in East Stewart neighborhood. This is the Willie Gary property that I mentioned earlier. We acquired this property for $1.6 million in January 2024. That project is in construction, and we expect to complete the construction by September 2026. Stitman Neighborhood Drainage and Sidewalk Improvements Project is budgeted for fiscal year 2026. We received $1.4 million in grant for drainage improvements. And we're proposing to combine the sidewalk improvements and the drainage improvement projects for cost efficiency and just overall infrastructure improvements within the neighborhood. We've held several meetings with the neighborhood, and we've also received approval from the City Commission to move forward with this project. So right now, we're in the design phase and meeting the grant deliverables. So we expect to complete the design hopefully by mid of this year, mid-2026, and go in construction in fall 2026. We are also working on the CRA tree infill program. This is a development master plan of tree infill within the right-of-way. It will be implemented in phases due to budgeting, and it's a 5-year program. The goal of the program is to increase shade coverage, reduce heat, and create a more comfortable and walkable environment for our pedestrians within the CRA. Currently, we're in the design phase, so a master plan phase, so that will come before the board for review and approval of the tree palettes and just if you guys review the master plan, overall master plan, and how we want to phase the project. The CRA is partially funding the new courtesy dock that will withhold the storm events. The new courtesy dock will be free and open to the public on first-come, first-served basis. We're expanding from 13 to 30 boat slips. So it'll increase, it'll double our annual boat use, increase visitors to the waterfront district. This project is being led by Public Works and Utilities and Engineering Department. But CRA is going to be funding partially for this project. That's all I have. The board has any questions for me?
Any questions for Pennell?
I have a few, but go ahead.
No,
Frederick.
I'm good. Go ahead.
Go ahead, Mr. Laughlin.
All right. There's actually several. I see that the CBDC or CBDG said you had a grant of $750,000 and you had, 8 or 9 houses already being used. How much of those funds are going to be used? All of it or?
All of it.
Okay, good. Next question. The Guy Davis project, once that gets established and finished, is there going to be any carry cost or admin cost or funding that comes out of the CRA that goes annually for that? Has that been
Yeah.
factored in as well?
Usually if the CRA funds a project, then I'll start budgeting any maintenance expenses that come with those improvements. So you will see additional maintenance costs increase in that line item.
Okay, thanks. I see just from the tax revenue, you said the budget would be around, we get about roughly 6.9 million in tax, but then you had a grant for 12 million that gives the annual budget for 2026 close to 20 million. Okay, so that's, I knew you had increased, I think your budget last year was 23 million, and a lot of that was the big grant. So how, and I think you deserve a lot of credit for getting this grant money. That's over 150% increase that we would have had otherwise. How difficult is it to get these grants? I mean, how many hoops and headaches do you have to, what's the PETA factor on that?
Applying for the grant is not difficult. It's actually administering the grant and meeting the quarterly reports and things like that. We do work with our consultants to help us apply for the grant. So it's not just the grant writer. We also work with the design team that's like designing the project for us, because they have all the details of the project that needs to be included as part of the grant application. And a lot of the time they want to see like a shovel-ready project. So we don't apply just because we have a vision to do something. We wait till we have 30, 60% plans that are ready to go in construction. So that's a good time to start applying for these grants. And luckily we've had success every time we've applied.
Very good. And I see in the overall budget, you had a 6% admin. Is there a cap, or does somebody determine what the cap for admin cost would be for the CRA?
do we determine, is there a cap? That's our city manager, but he's also our finance director.
Okay.
Do we have a cap? It's just based on our salary and, any benefits, health benefits, things like that. And I think that's how they determine.
Okay, I'm just thinking relative to I know some nonprofits, they have like a target that they have and they can't cross, otherwise they might lose funding or whatever. So I didn't know if that applied here.
Not that I'm aware of.
Okay, thanks. And 6% isn't outrageous. I'm not trying to be picky about
I think it would be
that. I'm just
concerning
curious.
if we had 4 employees, number of employees increased, then I think there would be some concerns, but it's 2 staff members and we carry out a lot of programs and projects.
Okay, now you mentioned the 2025 landscaping grant. You wanted to get people's landscapes or commercial properties landscape up to code. Do you know of how many people are out of code? Or is that a major
A
problem?
lot, because,
okay.
yeah,
And so,
because we have a lot of older properties in the CRA, so
and
a
so-
lot of time when they come in for any improvements, we work with them to bring them up to code. But if they're, we want to encourage them. They don't have to make improvements to their property to bring things up to code. So this program kind of encourages them and provides that funding leverage to, to make those improvements to their property.
It's a good incentive, for sure. And you've made contact with all these people, or if you said there's a lot that are out of code. Do they know they're out of code, I'm guessing?
Yeah, so we do work with our code enforcement. So we ask them if you see that somebody needs to bring, the code enforcement is pretty aware of our landscape code. So they can just give a notice to these property owners and let them know that we have this program if they're interested in applying. But we do also send out notices at least once a year to the businesses to let them know about our programs.
Okay.
Can I ask a question related to that while you're on the
Go ahead.
topic?
Yeah.
Are we allowed to, as CRB board members, like if we see a property, like if I see somewhere and I'm like, man, they could squeeze some
Of
trees in
course.
front of that parking lot, can we approach them?
Yes,
Okay.
definitely. And just give our contact information. All these programs and projects, we really, especially programs, we really ask the board members to help us spread the word, especially like the heirs, property assistance program. We have a lot of properties in East Stewart that could benefit from that program. So we really need the board members to help us get the word out.
Thank you.
So with that in mind, so if you get this money coming in and it doesn't get spent, then what? You just said we need to do a better
Oh,
job of
it's-
making sure people know it's available.
Right, it
What
just
happens
goes
if
back
it
to
doesn't
our
get
fund
spent?
balance.
Okay, very
Yeah.
good. We don't lose it.
We don't lose it, it just
Okay.
goes back to our
All
fund
right,
balance.
very good. Thank you.
I have just a couple more questions. You said the National Register of Historic Districts is what you're trying to get for East Stewart. Is there any restrictions? I'm assuming there's restrictions on building that comes with the National Register of Historic Districts. So would the residents of East Stewart, are they aware that they're potentially going to be put into the historic district, and they're okay with, or they approve of the any
We've had
restrictions?
multiple meetings
Okay.
in the neighborhood, making them aware that we're pursuing this. We do have their support. It doesn't, just because they're National Register of Historic District, that does not, refrain them from doing any improvements to their property. It's just that it helps with grants. If the church or any nonprofits or other organization wants to apply for grants for their property, it just gives them a upper hand with this designation.
Okay, and a couple more. You mentioned the trams. How do they generate revenue? So they have $45,000 in revenue?
It's mainly funded through the CRA, but they do generate about $4,000 to $5,000 in revenue from the panels that they have on top of the
Okay, so
of
it's like
those, the commercial
advertising?
advertisements.
You said the ridership's 45,000?
I don't remember, but it did increase from
425 or 45?
45,000 people annually?
Let's see what it says.
Maybe
Oh,
it's
right
Seems like
here.
high number. Seems like a very high
Right,
number.
so the
45,000.
ridership between January 2024 to December
Seems like a
24, it was
lot.
$45,000. I mean, 25,000 passengers, and it was up 500 passengers from
Nice.
previous year.
Okay.
Okay. And let's see here, talking about the CRA funds, just compared to 1998 to the current, you're up like 450%. Does the CRA, so the way the CRA works is basically it eventually goes exponential, which is a huge advantage for any developer who develops or, targets these kind of CRA type of areas. So you have this, as the numbers go exponential, you get this big pot of cash. Does any of this are any of these funds restricted? In particular, like some of the CRA money, if there's a City of Stuart service, like the police or fire, that works inside the CRA but also works outside the CRA, do they get a certain percentage of that funding? Like, let's say a police officer works and it's hard, I would imagine it's hard because the police officer is going everywhere, but let's say they do 60% of their time inside the CRA. Maybe the city manager knows the answer to this.
Louis Boglioli, interim city manager. Thank you, Board Member Laughlin. No, community policing is one of the few services that has been allowed in the CRA throughout Florida challenges at different levels through statute and court cases. So typically what happens is whatever service the general fund was providing previously, you can't just hand it off to the CRA. And there's not some percentage, and believe me, we've tried that in past years. Let's have the CRA pay for 30% of street sweeping because 30% of the streets are in there. And like, no, the general fund was already street sweeping. But the CRA has in the past funded additional services above and beyond what was previously provided by general fund. And in that case, we've had police officers in the past that rode the Segway around just the CRA district and had a kind of higher presence there, so the CRA can pay for additional services above and beyond what general fund would normally support, which is what the base revenue is supposed to represent in this TIF calculation. So,
Gotcha.
however, the flaw there is that base amount's frozen from 1998, and the cost of a cop is not the same as it was in 1998.
Right.
But,
So then that extra tax burden gets passed off to people outside of the CRA.
Well, I mean, as you know, your finance director at the City of Stuart does a phenomenal job in keeping the tax rate very low. In fact, we reduced it this year. So I don't think that's a concern, really.
Wow.
We do more with less. We are, however, looking at what might happen with the legislature and the promises of Governor DeSantis, because any reduction in the general millage of both the city and the county would drastically affect the funding of the CRA at all. So, I mean, we don't know what's going to happen. So your comment about the exponential funding of the CRA into the future, that, might not take place if there's a mandated reduction in general millage rates around the state, or specifically here in Martin County in the City of Stuart.
So did you just, what I heard was you said that at least some of the time the CRA ends up chipping in more than its fair share for certain things. Yes? No?
No, sir. No, that's not it. Any service that general fund was already providing, we were sweeping the streets before the CRA was funded.
Correct.
And we were providing police protection before the CRA TIF fund was created. So general fund continues to provide that base level of support. But in instances where, say, the CRA says we'd like a higher level of community policing presence, community policing is one of the programs that CRAs have been allowed to provide. And so there haven't been challenges to that. And so that's specifically denoted in many of the CRA formation, but I'll reference that we have to justify the creation of a district. One of those things allowed by the law for a CRA to provide is policing support if they pay for that additional officer or those additional services.
Okay.
Just last two questions. City owns property, you mentioned Dockside, Azul, Willie Gary's property. Do we lease those out, or how does that work? Okay.
Those are leased out.
Ultimately, it's kind of like giving a gift to your parent. You're going to get it back eventually in the end. So the CRA owns property that they've purchased. However, in the end, it will still be general funds property. At the moment, the CRA doesn't lease any property. So there are leased properties which general fund owns, and those go into a separate fund for that, similar to the CRA. So there was a question earlier about what happens to unspent CRA funds. CRA has its own fund, and so any unspent dollars don't get commingled with the rest of general fund. It sits in there by itself. But those properties that the city does own and lease out currently are in a separate fund that we maintain, the Leased Property Management Fund, which is included in the city's annual budget and our annual audit.
Okay, so funds from the CRA were used to buy these properties, and then they go into,
I don't currently know of a property that's being leased that the CRA
We
purchased.
don't, right, we don't collect any lease.
Okay, right.
They've purchased some property and then was demolished, or they've purchased property and helped fund what was there. But those funds go towards the maintenance of those leased properties and funding those.
okay.
So, yeah,
Well, what I
We
was,
benefit from when those properties get redeveloped, and now we get TIF revenue from those properties. So that's why we like to invest into
okay,
vacant.
so you then sell the property to the new person? Or it sounded like you just says, well, you keep that property, like the gifts to your parents, you're going to get them eventually. So you actually own
what
the
I'm
land?
saying, yeah, any property that the city of Stuart, or that the CRA currently owns. So I believe Pinal referenced the property there next to Wells Fargo. So the CRA can purchase properties for development purposes, not investment. We don't make investments on properties. We can purchase a property to control its development future. At some point when the CRA sunsets in 2034, what is it?
49.
2049 after the last extension, and the CRA would theoretically dissolve and sunset, it all becomes general funds property again anyway. That's my
Okay.
reference.
Well, one of my concerns earlier is like you get, as this thing goes exponentially, you get a lot of funds. So if I'm a developer and I'm sitting there watching and I see, well, there's a nice property that you guys should really invest in. And then the CRA buys it. And then, oh, how about that? I'm the developer that gets that property for no lease. It's a pretty good deal.
I'm sorry, you said no lease?
No lease, right? I mean, you
We
get the
don't give
property.
away property for free.
Okay, well,
No.
so how are they generating any revenue from these properties that were,
So what happens is, Pinal referenced it.
I mean, you
and
mentioned
like
the
I said,
taxes.
We don't buy properties for investment. I want to
Right.
make sure we say that, because
you
sometimes
got
the
that.
words matter, and when the auditors read the minutes, they say, oh, did your commission say they're buying a property to invest in it? Then I have to do a rate of return on the investment, and are we getting our money back on it? No. Okay. We purchase property for development purposes. Then what happens is you may do an RFP to have the property developed. You go through a public procurement process. And then when that property is developed, it may be sold, it may be retained under city lease, but the benefit to the CRA is a vacant lot now becomes a developed property. It adds to the tax roll, because even though we own it, if we lease it, it becomes taxable. So any property the city owns that is used for public purpose is not taxable. But if we lease it, it is taxable. So it goes on the tax roll at its taxable value. And so the CRA gains that TIF revenue from that developed property. Okay? So that's the goal, is A, to control what may or may not go on the property, hold it until we know where its zoning is going or something like that. But then also afterwards, the investment in that property, not purchasing it as an investment, but investing in the property, develops into a project that contributes to the tax base of the city, thereby lessening the burden of the general taxpayers, not requiring us to raise the general millage.
gotcha.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. And last one, you said the Florida State statute identifies slum and blight. What's the definition of slum and blight? 'Cause, do you happen to know?
So it's defined as where we have inadequate infrastructure, if there's a sidewalk missing, there's a roadway connectivity missing, shortage of housing, affordable housing, if there are a lot of vacant parcels. So there's like a list of items that they have that defines slum and blight. And if you meet those conditions within the area, then you have to demonstrate that this area has those conditions, and we submit that report to the state to review and approve.
Okay, because there were some waterfront properties on there that I would think that it's not really a slum, but,
But
They- the
when
state
it was
says they meet
created, it was at that time.
okay. All right, thanks for your time, and thanks for answering my questions.
I had just one follow-up to Will's. I'm still not 100% clear on, okay, the city of Stuart purchases this property, and then what is the process, the steps between that and it being developed by a third party? What are the steps? Where do the money flows? How does that all, the whole process work?
Do you want to do it? Or you want me to? Go ahead.
Sure, I'll do it. A determination is made by one of the governing boards or all the governing boards, be it the City of Stuart Commission or the CRA. And so a property that the city has acquired through whatever means, after an extensive review and given whatever the political areas of the day, do we develop, do we not develop, what gets developed there if it is, then that's always through a procurement process. So we put out a public invitation to bid or request for proposals, and competitively offered bids are submitted by developers and contractors or engineers and designers. The city goes through its normal selection process. It would. We say, this looks good to us. We go forward, and they're awarded that contract to then develop that property based on what we do. So it's not really, much of a public one. At that point, sometimes the city, and I've been here 31 years now, sometimes the city sells the property after we've held it long enough to make sure it goes what it does, or we retain it and have a land lease on it of some type. And, from the Jeff Crosskoff days, it's always the triple net lease. We make sure the renter pays the taxes, the fees, and the utilities. So so far, we've been very lucky in our negotiations that we've been successful in acquiring those leases so that the city gets the taxable value added to the tax base, be it just general fund or both the CRA and general fund. And, we haven't, so far the deal's been more pros than cons.
Okay. Thank you.
Any more questions from anybody?
I actually have one. I'm thinking about the Project Lift being nonprofit. How does that help the tax base?
Well, I think that also, it also helps with the redevelopment of the surrounding area.
Okay.
Because when you see some properties, it's a spur improvements, right? Like when you see an improvement within the area, the other property owners want to start taking care of their property and start making investments into their property. So sometimes it just takes one property owner to make those improvements, and it kind of has that effect throughout the corridor.
Yeah. It's the Community Redevelopment Agency, not the Economic Redevelopment Agency. So as Panal is referencing, hopefully we try to get some kind of collateral repair instead of collateral damage. And so improving its surrounding properties hopefully will increase, the at least intent of the neighbors to do it, or if we've added some sort of community benefit. So I think with Project Lift and those, we're also talking about providing a benefit to the citizens and not just an increase in the possible tax base. But, the statement was made some meetings back about whether an amenity contributes something. I would just add, Disney World has never paid $1 of property tax to any of the surrounding communities.
Right.
But I would argue that they have benefited economically, even though they weren't on anyone's tax roll. So I think the city of Stuart wants something a little less than Disney, but more than the world's largest ball of twine. So, that we're trying to get projects that would benefit and add stuff, if not more than just to make a neighbor think, hey, I want to spruce my place up too. So.
If you give me $50 million, I'll spruce my place up.
It really hurts on my side to see it, not be able to touch it, right? It's like I just have a lot of money goes right through my fingers that I never get to touch. So.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Panal, I got a couple of questions. You said that the area, square mile area or whatever, land area is 22% of the city, the CRA. Have we figured out what percentage of Stuart City residents are inside the CRA versus the ones who are outside? Do you have those? Do you have any kind of estimate or guesstimate of those numbers by
Just
population?
the residential area?
The whole city, yeah, the city
The
of
whole
Stuart.
city, the total acreage that I have is.
No, I mean populations.
Oh.
Citizens that live inside the CRA
within the
versus
CRA.
citizens that live outside the CRA.
Yeah, I don't have it broken down by population within the CRA. I know it's about 18,000 people in the
Okay.
city. I don't have the number.
And I'm
for within
guessing
the CRA.
it's not even close to even, just by the land size and then by the amount of commercial buildings inside the CRA. So I'm guessing, you could estimate it's fairly lopsided, those outside of the CRA
More
from a
dense,
population
right?
point
So-
of view. Yeah.
more
And
more population.
will you do me a favor? Will you pull up that one bar graph where you showed the income coming in, and Mr. Laughlin called it a parabolic blast off? So I have a hard time, I can't see, that last one is 2025 on the far right?
2026.
2026, okay. That's the projected, or you already got it in your
That's
pocket?
this year's budget.
You've got it in your pocket?
Right.
Okay, so you've got this money coming in. Have you done a good, have you done a good job of spending it all? As this has gone parabolic, have you had to like scramble to find places to spend it, or is no problem?
We do have large projects, so a lot of our projects are, between $6 to $10 million.
Okay.
But I also get grants, so sometimes because of the grants, I do have some money in our fund balance that we haven't spent. But again, there are other projects that's in the CRA that's projected for construction, so that's not gonna meet our budget, because our budget is about $6-7 million, and some of these projects are $10 to $12 million projects.
Okay.
So we have money in the fund balance to fund those projects.
It's almost uncanny how much of an increase is in those last 4 years, almost an exact same amount increase. And you mentioned when you showed this slide to us that you expect that gravy train to end. You're not expecting this. And
Especially
this was caused, this last 4 or 5 year, that exponential growth was caused. Why, again?
Some of those redevelopments or development projects that were approved last 5 years.
Okay.
So those all went in construction, and those were completed and in our tax roll. But we don't have any other projects that I expect to get on our tax roll that's going to increase the tax revenue for the CRA.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much. Okay.
Chairperson, the issue being each year, the Martin County property appraiser tells us what the taxable value is and
Okay.
what it's worth. And so we get a taxable value for the city, and then we get a taxable value for the CRA separately. And historically, in these years that you're looking at, the CRA's concentrated taxable value has a bigger increase than the city's general overall increase is.
Okay.
So, when the property appraiser said that our property values went up 7% this year, CRA's went up 19?
Yeah.
Yeah, 19.
Yeah, 3.
So I mean, they're just valuing the project, the projects and the properties inside the CRA at a higher rate and value than they are the general city overall. So we have multiple factors. So then that number goes to Martin County, and it comes to us. And Panal, you did an excellent job earlier. I'm just going to give them a little more detail.
Sure.
So the general millage rate that all citizens inside Martin County pay, including City of Stuart citizens, the 6.4 mils to Martin County General, and then the 4.9 mils that we paid here in the city. We apply the 4.9 mils to that taxable value, and the Martin County applies their 6.4 mils to that taxable value. And then we both have to write a check before January 1st, which is why Panal says, yes, we have the money now. So general fund stroked its check and Martin County stroked its check. They're both in the TIF fund now as of this date. So this money's coming from that. And so that CRA value, that's actually what it was designed to do, was to gain value in the property faster than the rest of the city. Plus, the rest of the city, especially here in the Treasure Coast, we have some values pushing down. City of Stuart's exemptions are growing each year, whereas our surrounding, like Jupiter Island's exemptions just dropped. Like a few people who were homesteaded decided to not homestead. So our tax base is being eroded by exemptions for double homestead, first responders who are injured, disabled veterans. So that's cutting into that, but that doesn't change what we pay into the TIF. So if the Martin County property appraiser next year says the CRA value only went up 10%, right? That's irrespective of what the whole city's, they'll give us one number for general fund, and then they'll give us one number for the CRA. And Martin County and the general fund both have to pay into that based on whatever the property appraiser said that increase was. So it's kind of achieving what it was originally designed to do. It's meant to generate this. And to some history, for a while, out of the 4 sections that make up the CRA through the different, not every section has improved in value over time. Some didn't improve in value, but the other sections covered that and chipped in. So then you could actually say that some sections of the CRA benefited more from the CRA than others because they didn't add to the TIF value, but they still received funds and benefited from it. So that's the deal, is that there's a synergy between the properties and they grow together as a total value like that. So yes, the waterfront ones will probably generate more of an improvement value than the inland, main to the core part, but again, depends on what gets put there.
I think you just answered the question I've always had about this whole CRA business. From what you just said, there's a lot of money coming in that benefits the entire city that wouldn't be coming in if we didn't have a CRA. Correct? Period. End of deal. So if I'm gonna, in other words, I'm not saying that person on the street is me, seeing as how I'm the chairman of this fine board, but, and maybe Pinal by the next time we meet, if you can't answer it now, but in a Forrest Gump type terms, I would love to be able to see the average citizen on the street and explain and be very proud of the CRA and really explain the benefits to them, even if they're not inside the CRA. I would really like that. So I think you just did a pretty good job of that. There's money that we wouldn't, if we didn't have a CRA, there's a whole bunch of money we wouldn't even have.
Well, you do, it's a concentrated effort on that, so it generates money to itself. But there's also this thing about, can we get any of the money that we pay to Martin County back? This is one of those few simple ways that the taxpayers of Stuart get some money back from Martin County to do that. So if it's a worthwhile project, maybe the city would do it regardless. But some of the projects, like, we just can't really find the money for that. But with the CRA, you're like, oh, we can do this project because the money wouldn't have been there otherwise. So let's do it since we have it.
Okay. Don't look a gift horse in the mouth, right?
Correct.
All right. Any other questions?
I have just one. I'm sad Jordan left before I could say this, but I think this chart's appropriate to be up while I'm saying it. I'm really impressed with you guys with all the grant funding that you're getting, because the money's out there and we might as well apply for it and get it. And there's been so much movement construction-wise lately, like things are really ramping up, and I love to see our tax dollars visually, being used in a way that's going to benefit us all. So thank you guys for the hard work.
Thank you.
I've worked with a lot of CRAs and they don't all function and are not able to get things done as quickly. So kudos to you guys.
Thank you.
My only question is, are there any plans to expand the CRA? And if so, like, what are the strategies or the rules to do that?
We don't have any plans to expand the CRA at this time. I know that we'll get a lot of kickback from the county if we try to expand the CRA, because that means they have to contribute for that. So I know last time when we tried to do it in 2015, I wasn't here, but maybe Jolie could kind of explain how it went.
Yeah, since I was here when we made the TIF fund and all that.
Yeah, you were here.
I did all that documentation. Yeah, no. Wow, deep dive. Martin County is not a charter county, so they cannot oppose us creating a TIF, or a CRA rather. However, we like to play nice with our neighbors since we are the county seat. As far as expanding the CRA or doing a boundary, Pinal already went through the process of having to prove there's blight. And blight doesn't necessarily mean like crack dealer. It could just be there's a shortage of infrastructure. So the point being, though, that there have been multiple legislative challenges for at least the last 6-7 years straight, with all kinds of language of like, we're ending all CRAs today, no new CRAs from this point forward. Only if the CRA has debt, at least you can keep doing that. So a second ago, don't look a gift horse in the mouth, do the project while we can. I don't know what the future viability of a CRA is, given that there's so many challenges each year. One of these bills eventually is going to land, and it might be harmless in the fact of like no new CRAs going forward, or it might be detrimental as one of the bills that made it through a few of the committees was, end them today and just stop where you are. So to your point of, I don't think we have any plans of expanding the CRA at this moment. I'm only in the seat temporarily.
I think,
But I don't think we're looking to expand the CRA at this moment, but I also don't know that we'll be able to in the future,
Okay.
given what's going on in Tallahassee.
All right,
So
thank you.
We're all waiting. You're welcome.
That's it for me.
All right. Action item number 5. Nominate board member for Community Redevelopment Agency, the CRA. What does RC mean in parentheses?
Chair McChrystal,
Yes.
I'm happy, we're going to need to read in the resolution number, and I'm happy
Right.
to do that for you.
Okay, very good. Go ahead.
Resolution number 01-2026 CRB, a resolution of the Community Redevelopment Board of the City of Stuart, Florida, to nominate 2 members to serve on the Community Redevelopment Agency for the remaining current term from present to December 31st, 2026, providing an effective date and for other purposes. And I'll go ahead and introduce the item. Our new board member, Dee Berard, we have a lot of new acronyms you're going to have to learn. You've heard CRA. That could be Community Redevelopment Area, which is the boundary, or it could mean the Community Redevelopment Agency. So this particular resolution is to nominate 2 members from your board to be on with the 5 commissioners on the Community Redevelopment Agency. And our 2 members from this board will be voting members there. And so you will be voting with the commissioners as a 7-unit board for the Community Redevelopment Agency. Last year, we had 2 members, Board Member James and Board Member Breckbill. Mr. Breckbill is no longer on the board, and Board Member James is still here. But we do this on an annual basis, so you will need to nominate 2 of you from your board to represent the CRB at the CRA. And you will be voting members, and you also have to attend another board meeting on a monthly basis, and it's typically before the regular city commission. So it usually starts about 3:30, 3 o'clock.
The CRA starts at 4 o'clock and it's
Or
the
4
fourth
o'clock.
Monday of every month.
So just to keep that in mind by nominations that you're going to have to be at another board meeting.
They don't normally listen to me.
I would suggest, since, Chair McChrystal, since we had the problem with nominating the chair and vice chair, might want to have people, get a list of people volunteering who's willing to do it, and then go for motions to fill the 2 chairs. And you can do a motion for both chairs to be seated on the CRA, would be my recommendation. But my recommendation is see if anybody would volunteer for it, and then you guys can have someone do a motion and a second.
Okay. Do I have any volunteers to serve on the CRA for this year?
Would Board Member James like to continue?
They don't really listen to us, but I will continue.
I'm willing to do it if nobody else wants.
All right. Got 2.
All
Anybody
right.
else?
Anybody else? All right. So now we're going to vote on those 2 at the same time? Or
You
one
need
at
to
a time?
entertain a motion, and you can't make it, Chair.
I'd make a motion that we have a board member or committee member, James, and Dee Berard as our representatives.
I'll second the motion.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
This one, we're going to do roll call on it.
Oh, we're going to do it? Okay. Thank you. Suzanne will do a roll call.
Absolutely. Board Member DeBerard,
Since I'm being nominated, I'm not sure if I
you
should
still have to vote on
abstain.
it, so you could just say yes.
I'll abstain because of the,
You can vote on it.
okay, then.
So,
It's not
yeah,
one
it's
vote.
not a conflict.
Aye, okay.
Yes, okay. Board Member James,
Yes.
Vice Chair Moser,
Yes?
Chair McChrystal,
Yes.
Board Member Monero,
Yes.
Board Member Laughlin,
Yes.
and Board Member Whalen.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you very much. It looks like we've reached the end of our meeting. Any staff update?
no, not at this time.
We're good? All right. Like I say, life's like a box of chocolates, so hopefully a month from now, where I'll show back up nice and healthy, and I will do a better job. I'll guarantee you that. All right.
did a good
Tha-
job.
Thank you.